Shalom, it's the 15th of April. I just want to share some thoughts on what I discovered this morning. I'm in James 4:6 and 4:7. So 4:6 says, God resists the devil. And 4:7 says, resist the devil. So we need to resist the devil, and God resists the proud, not the devil. But the proud is the originator of, or Lucifer is the origin of the proud, the people who elevate themselves, because he was the one, Lucifer, the angel, who want to be like the Most High. So pride is the original sin, or the root, I believe, of all sin. So God resisting the proud. That word resist is combining of two words. The first word is anti. That's also used in Antichrist, Anti-Messiah, and it means against or in the place of. And resist is the word that means authority, and it also implies anointing or ability to be appointed. So the first resistance has to do with taking away the appointment, not necessarily the anointing. Now, if you think about that, where the concept of false prophets and false teachers come from, they are anointed people who have received the gift of the Spirit and the ability of the Spirit within them, and that manifested through prophecy and teaching and whatever. So they've got spiritual abilities that's not taken away from them. The same example we have is with Lucifer, the anointed archangel who rebelled against Yahweh, and he was cast out of Yahweh's presence and fell to a lower state outside of Yahweh's realm of or his kingdom, and he became the opposer. But he still have his anointing, and he used his anointing to deceive the elect, or to deceive Yahweh's people, or people in the world. So that first word resist in James 4:6 means to replace your authority with someone else, to put them in that authority, and the anointing that you have now, you can still have, but it's going to be used for the other side, the opposing forces there, the realm of the opposer, which we know is the devil or Satan. The Hebrew word for Satan is actually also meaning opposer or adversary, the one that opposes or that war against. So we see that the word resist, oppose, is synonym and come from a similar background, meaning to oppose, to resist, and to war against. So when Yahweh war against the proud, he does not eliminate them. He just sack them or fire them, if you like. So you still have your abilities, your training, your skills and all that, but you don't have work in his kingdom anymore. And those people who have been deceived think that they still work in the kingdom, but now they work under the authority of the spirit of the Antichrist, the one in the place of, the one that's opposing Yahweh, in the form of the anointed one. And they are also anointed ones that work as little Antichrist or anti-messiahs within the body, and they infiltrate, or they actually, some of them just migrate, still in the kingdom, but Yahweh, from his point of view, he sacked them, and from their point of view, they're still doing the work of Yahweh, but they now are influenced by the wrong spirit, not by Yahweh's spirit. And that is how false prophets and false teachers come into being, is through the root of pride in their lives, that cause them to be removed, replaced by someone else, but they stepped aside and they still stand alongside. Now the verse that confirmed this, or the picture that it in Zechariah 3 that confirmed this, is where there's Yahushua, the high priest, standing before the angel of Yahweh, and Satan stand to his right hand, ready to oppose him. Now that's a beautiful picture of an anointed one, Yahushua, which also point to Yeshua the Messiah, but also point to the anointed followers of Mashiach or Yeshua. And when the people of Yahweh stand before him, to your right hand is the opposer, Satan, ready to oppose you. So when is the time to oppose you? As soon as you come into the presence of Yahweh standing before him, then you want to come in. When you're not standing in front of Yahweh, you're not busy with Yahweh's things, he doesn't even bother. But as soon as you start to draw near, that's also what James says, draw near to God, he'll draw near to you. After James 4 verse 7, that is the time when the opposer is working his hardest to push you away from the presence of Yahweh, to oppose you out of his presence. Now what James 4 verse 7 says is, resist the devil. Now that word resist is different to the resist where Yahweh resists the proud. Resisting the proud is taking away their authority. Resisting the devil, that word resist is a different Greek word that means to stand against, to stand strong, and to oppose. So that means not to attack, not to fight against, but to stand strong against, stand fast. And that standing fast has more to do with your faith and you being grounded in the truth, not being influenced by the opposer who's standing on your right hand, ready to push you out of the presence of Yahweh. So those are two words for resist that has two different meanings and two different applications. The one applies to Yahweh, the authority figure, who's got the authority to remove authority from the proud and give it to the humble. And then they work in the kingdom, but the authority of the proud is still there. And they also work in the kingdom, but under the wrong spirit, the spirit of the anti-Mashiach. And then the other resist is resisting the devil. Resisting is standing strong against. Now the devil on your right hand, who want to push you away, want to influence you so that you can submit to fleshliness, to worldliness, to false teaching, whatever is needed to wherever your weakness is, to remove you from the presence, because it's sin that brings a separation. So if he can get you to sin, and that's the teaching of Balaam, get them to mingle with the enemy's daughters and let them take on their culture, their idol worship, and Yahweh will push them out. You don't have to do it. So that's still the tactic that the devil or Hasatan try to do in order to remove us from Yahweh's presence. So that's a few thoughts on the two words for resisting the proud and resisting the devil. And I hope you have a lovely day. We are not going to have a teaching tonight. I'm going to do that next week. I still want to just go through the rest of James chapter 4 so we can finish it off in one sitting. So I've still got some work to do next week to finalize that. So I hope you have a wonderful Sabbath and a wonderful day. Shalom.